energy. I'm so glad we did this. I
Rock and
hope some
roll.
of you are in the yeah, Kelly. I hope some of you are in the men's group because oh my god, your energy would absolutely just like elevate the group. Awesome, guys. Okay, so we are ready. Let's go ahead and get started. So, hey everyone, and welcome to day 7 of the Year of the Man Summit, the summit made for men's mental health to help you become better fathers, leaders, spouses, and men. Tonight we have Spade Schumacher. He is the creator of Inspire Nation Tees, which we are twinning on. I've had mine for like a couple of years now. They're amazing. They're motivational affirmations to help spread positivity in the world and inspire other people to live the life that they're meant to, live the life of their dreams. And Spade and I have been friends for like 7 years since we were both in Hollywood as youngins. So I know his story very personally, and we interviewed him on the podcast. And tonight he's going to take you through kind of his coaching process and energy balancing, right? How you can take the power of energetics, incorporate it into your life, making different decisions based upon, you know, what you need, and really understanding emotions and how to balance them. So I'm super excited to have you guys here. We've got tons of treats for you here. One that I will also announce after Spade is done, because I don't want to disrupt from the flow of that. But remember, any questions, anything that you want to ask him after in VIP, make sure to sign up for VIP if you haven't already. And let's get started. Over to you, Spade.
Sweet. Let's get pumped. Ready for that suspension. All right. So what's up, guys? Like she said, my name is Spade Schumacher. Been skateboarding for about 16 years. Been doing art since I was a kid and studying personal development for over a decade. I combined all those 3 things into Inspire Nation. You see those skateboards up there? I painted those. So I do everything to be able to help men through the ways that I found that helped me as a personal tool through skateboarding, art, and personal development. I also studied Qigong, or energy cultivation, at the Kunyu Academy in China. And that was really interesting. Long story. Accidentally signed up for a Kung Fu school, but I learned a lot about energy cultivation while I was there. And I also studied and graduated from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, where I learned all about how to balance the mind, the body, and spirit by nourishing the mind, the body, and the spirit. So let's jump right into it. So today we're going to be talking about energy budgeting. It's one of my favorite subjects in the world. And one of the points, it's a lot like energy juggling. You know, you got a couple of different subjects in life, a couple of different categories in life, and you just got to juggle them one at a time, just one at a time. You can't focus on all of them. You can only throw up one at a time while keeping a steady awareness of where the others are at. And then maybe you're juggling a couple of them, and then maybe you drop one of them, and then you can only focus on 2, and that's okay. Maybe you drop another one, and then you can only focus literally on just one at a time. And that's okay. Because as we're going through life, we kind of get emotionally, like everything, we can't really figure it out. We can't do everything all at once. That's what we get, where we got to focus on one thing at a time. And that's what the emotional guidance system is for. And the emotional guidance system is there. It's built inside of us. Some of us may be asking, what is an emotional guidance system? Why do I need it? Well, the emotional guidance system, also called the emotional guidance scale, is our emotions that are inside of us. It's kind of like a GPS. And when you have your GPS, a lot of them, you know, come on these phones right here. It's like the EGS, the emotional guidance system, and the GPS are very similar. We cultivate, we hone in, we figure out exactly where we want to go. We get our life vision very correct. We plug those coordinates in to our emotional guidance system, and it allows us to take us there one step at a time, one turn at a time on a GPS. And if we're going along the road and we keep going and we keep continuing, going step by step, sometimes it's life. You know, it's like we take a wrong turn, we make a wrong step, we make a bad choice or a bad decision, and that's okay. But in a GPS, what happens? What happens when you make a wrong turn is we come up to this little screen that says rerouting. That's exactly what happens in life, because it doesn't reroute us from where we should be. It doesn't reroute us from where we were in the past, last week when we were a kid, last month. It reroutes us from right here, right now, in this moment. And that's what the emotional guidance system is for. Our emotions are here to guide us to get to where we want to go. Beatrice had mentioned yesterday about manifestation and how everything goes based on what we're thinking. And that's exactly how the emotional guidance system works. What we're thinking about all day long is what we tend to get, because our emotions guide us towards that which we're thinking about, our life vision, or whatever it is that we're thinking about. And so I'm going to pull up this screen right here for you real quick, give you a little bit more of a visual. All right. Can you guys all hear me? Can you guys all see me? Give me some thumbs up in the chat box.
We got you. We can see you. Well,
All
not
right.
anymore.
All right. So this is the emotional guidance system here. As you see,
Hey,
it's got
Spade.
various emotions that are on there.
Hey,
Yes?
Spade, we can't see your screen.
Yes?
No, we can't.
Oh, you can't see my screen?
It says Spade has started sharing, screen sharing. Just try one more time.
Let's try that. Let's try that one more time. Okay.
There we go. It should work now.
All right. Can you guys all see me? Can you see my screen here?
Yep. Now we're good to go.
Groovy. All right. Sweet. So these are all the emotions that we have. They're a lot more broad, but these are the basic emotions. They go all the way from the lower emotions, the lower resonating, lower frequency emotions, going down from fear, depression, guilt, anxiety-ridden emotions. A lot of us consider these bad emotions, right? The good emotions are love, joy, passion, all these things that we consider good emotions. So how we're resonating is these different emotions, they lie on our emotional guidance system, resonating under a different frequency. And it's kind of like if you're on the radio station and you're just chilling back, jamming in your car, maybe you're listening to some classical music on 88.9, and you change your mind and you have a different vision and you want to listen to some hip hop or R&B over on 101.1. And how we get there is we change the dial and we seek it one station at a time, one frequency at a time. And as we go there, we can't just skip immediately. It has to be one step at a time. That's exactly how these emotions go. Because if we're teeter-tottering between feeling really good and feeling really bad, we don't get anywhere. And kind of like a car, if you just throw it straight into third gear and you want to go from 0 to 60 in 0 seconds, we burn out. We stay in the exact same spot. There's a lot of smoke and we don't go anywhere. We're just sitting there on a treadmill. And that's exactly how it is if we try to go from feeling really bad to feeling really good immediately. We try to take it one step at a time, and that's how we get there and we stay there. So energy balance is also about energy maintenance. We're maintaining and taking the steps in the right direction one at a time. It kind of works like this. You're working as fear, and it goes up to depression. And then you feel a little bit better, start feeling guilty about not doing anything. And then you resent that you weren't doing anything. And then you start to get really angry because, oh, I could be doing something. Like I have all these thoughts in my head and I haven't been doing anything with them. And then you start blaming yourself or maybe other people or the system or whatever it is. Then we move up to worry and then annoyance and then boredom. And it just goes one step at a time. And as you see, it goes from green to red. From red to green. And as we go one step at a time, and you can take a screenshot of this if you want. But when we take it one step at a time, not only are we able to get to places that we want to go, that we love, we're able to stay there. So the emotional guidance system is literally just the GPS. It's a GPS built into our mind and our hearts. So in our lower intestine, in our gut. That's where about 80 to 90% of our central nervous system lies. So when we have that we have that gut feeling, we have that intuition, that instinct, that's our gut speaking to us. And our emotions speak through our gut. So if we're thinking about where we want to go, if we feel really good about it, we can take that next step in that direction. But maybe if you think about, I want to get this promotion, or I want to make this amount of money, or I want this type of relationship, whatever it is that we're thinking about, if it's something that's good for us, but it doesn't feel good, maybe that's too broad of a step. And then the belief can't really plug into that because we don't believe that that's possible for us. So we have to just take the same things and then shrink it down a little bit. And then maybe even shrink it down a little bit more. So we try to jump too many steps ahead, then we can't exactly make that step and stay up there. So one of my favorite phrases is energy flows. You took your mic off there. Do you want to say something, Elise?
Yes, because what you said was just, sorry, I didn't want to, I know you're about to get into some other good stuff, but what, I kind of want to actually challenge you on what you just last said, because if I'm hearing correctly, so maybe I'm mishearing, right? If something is too far outside of like the realm of what we believe, like maybe it's not good to step into that, right? Like we need to kind of take a step back and do things maybe little by little by little, right? What
Yes.
about challenging that for yourself, right? Because, or maybe is that just like next level, right? Because I'm someone who delves in like quantum leaping, right? So
I mean, well, when we get used to that quantum leaping, then that just becomes our normal. But we have to take small steps that lead up to big steps. And then when big steps are our normal, we can do that normally. But if we start as a baby, we can't just straight go to running.
No, but what you're saying is, okay, I understand, because like what I'm thinking though is like a big step really is like the level that you kind of move up. It's the same exact level of step that you've taken before. It just seems bigger now, right? Like every step that you take is exactly as big and as small as the last time that you take it. Am I making any sense, right? Like, because it's just as scary to do like this, the first step, than it is to do the next step. And like, let's say you're going to spend like $1,000 for yourself in a course or something. And you're like, the first time you do that, it's like scary and it's a lot of money. But once you've done that, you're like, okay, like I know what that's like. I've gotten over that fear. But then someone asks you to spend $10,000 and you're like, oh my God, that's a lot of money. And it's like, it is more money, but the fear jump is the same. Am I correct in kind of like saying this? It's like this equal step every time, and you have to kind of take those steps. You can't just go from like the 1,000 to the 10,000. You need to do that 1,000 first.
Yeah, so it's like if you take one single snowflake and you drop it at the top of a hill, maybe it's not going to go anywhere. But if it collects together with other snowflakes and it starts to roll down the hill, one rotation as a small snowball is the same thing as one rotation of when it gets 50 feet down the hill and it got so much bigger. The amount it has to take to do one rotation for one bigger step, it's still one rotation, it's still one step, but our ability gets greater and greater.
Oh my God, yes, I love that. Okay, thank you for clarifying and like also emphasizing the fact that that compounds and it gets bigger and bigger. That's so good. Okay, please continue.
I like how you mentioned compound, because that can go from anything. So compound habits, compound thinking, compound action steps, all of that leads up to, if we have this big giant vision for ahead, and we'll talk about that later when it comes to vision boards, everything like on my vision board specifically, I have no idea how I'm going to get that. But I know if I keep taking action steps and implementing habits in to be able to get to that place, they're going to look more and more possible. They're going to become more and more possible. The opportunities are going to gravitate into my direction that lead into that, when maybe I had no idea how it was going to be possible. But if I take my emotions and I allow them to guide me in the right direction, if I plug into a GPS where I want to go, Maybe I'm in the middle of Wisconsin. I've never been there before, and I have no idea where I am, but I'm following the GPS to get me to New York. And so I'm just passing through. I'm just passing through this stage in life. I'm passing through this step. And as we keep taking gradually bigger and bigger steps, those possibilities become more and more likely. More and more of our belief gravitates to those steps, and the steps get bigger and bigger and bigger. Kind of like when a baby is crawling and they have to learn how to stand up, and they have to learn how to take steps, and then once they learn how to walk, then they can run, and then they can learn how to dance. Like, who doesn't love dancing? But you can't learn how to dance unless you learn how to run and then walk. But it's just taking one step at a time. So as long as we keep going there, and if you got anything from this entire session, it's this phrase right here: energy flows where attention goes. Energy flows where attention goes. And our energy is built into our emotions. And I love etymology. I love how words are broken down. And so if you look at that word emotion and you break it up, emotion is energy in motion. Energy flows where attention goes. So if I'm thinking about, I'm worrying about something over here, some family member, some event, something that is happening or could happen or did happen, I'm putting energy into that situation, right? And it can go into just about anything. We're going to talk about a couple of the different categories of life a little bit later. And when we put the energy into each one of those, so we got a question real good, would work on a spousal relationship too? Yes, 100%. And as we're moving through those different relationships, for that example, we would have an idea of a very specific type of relationship that we want. And we got Susie in the chat over here as well. And we've had some conversation and communication about what our expectations were with each other, as a spouse. And we've told each other many times, this is great. I love this, what this is and what we're creating. And if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. Let's keep living here in the now and keep discussing and communicating what we're looking for and what we're trying to build. And if that resides in each other and us, and we keep growing and building together, that's great. And if not, I support you 100%. Maybe I can do that a little externally. But that energy is flowing into what we want rather than what we don't want. So energy flows where attention goes. And emotion is energy in motion. In motion is just like that snowball effect. Is that emotion is down the whole entire hill. And the destination is at the very bottom. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the life wheel. So the life wheel, I'm going to go a little demonstration for you here, right here. So I guess if you're down for this, I want you to take out a piece of paper, and I'm going to have you draw across the whole thing, just one big old giant circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. I know I've done some art, but this is not the greatest art I've done. But just one big old circle, and then you're going to draw 4 lines. One through the middle, one through the middle again, and then you're just going to keep doing that until you got 8 equal sections. You're going to have 8 equal sections. These are going to represent the 8 different categories of our life. And then after I show you this one slide, I'll show you a little bit more. This is going to be a 0 right here. And this is the emotional guidance scale, how we feel about this section. This is a 0 and this is a 10. This is a 0, this is a 10, this is a 0, this is a 10. For example, this is going to be the physical health. And maybe for me personally, my physical health is like an 8 on a 0 to 10. Like, I feel really good about it. I'm working towards a better vision of my ideal health, what it looks like. And so I'm going to put a dot right there on there. A dot right there, right about where 8 is. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just for the visualization, so you can see it exactly for yourself. So I'm going to share my screen real quick here with you guys. And this is one of my greatest tools for budgeting my energy, for juggling my energy around. All right. Can you guys all see me? Can you guys all hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. So sometimes we feel like we see this sign in life, we have no idea where to go. Where are we going to focus on? Energy flows where attention goes. I have all this chaos everywhere. Do I want to focus on my family? Do I want to focus on my emotional health? Do I want to focus on my work, my career? Where do we focus on? So we don't get distracted. That's where the wheel of life comes in. And these are the 8 different categories of life, going from physical health to spirituality, creativity, life vision, emotional well-being, personal growth, career, and then relationships. And if you guys want to take a screenshot of that really quick, just so you can have that, and I'll start describing the different categories there pretty briefly. Physical health, it's how your body operates in this world. Pretty short and simple. Spirituality is your connection to the world around you, the connection to the oneness and the universe and everything. It comes in many different shapes and forms. At the bottom line, it's your connection to this world. The creativity is basically your ability to solve things, to create new patterns, to be able to lead into new directions. Your life vision is, if you could imagine if everything on this wheel of life was a 10, what would that look like for you? How would that look like? Your personal growth is how you're developing mentally, how you're developing physically, spiritually, just in general. How are you developing? Are you reading articles? Are you taking courses? Are you going to workshops? Are you going to the Year of the Man Summit 2022? Sorry, I got excited there. Your career is your 100%. Do you want to build a business? Do you want a specific job? Do you want to be a lawyer at this practice? Whatever you want to do, what does that look like on a scale of 1 to 10 for you? And then relationships. Do you want a relationship with yourself? Do you want this type of relationship? How do the relationships within your family work? How do relationships within your coworkers work? Your relationships in general with the other people in this world, how do those look like? So as we take this wheel of life, this wheel is constantly flowing and rolling down the hill of life. And if we take our emotional guidance system, it guides us to be able to understand. Let me throw all these other dots here really quick. So if we take these on that scale of 1 to 10, or a balance wheel, that's another name for it. I didn't come up with these. I wish I could take credit for the genius, but yes. And thank you, Rob. And then so we take these different categories in life, scale of 1 to 10, and we make, let's see how I can do this off camera. Oh, okay, I'm not so great at that. We're gonna connect all those dots. And when we take those dots, we're making like these little spokes in there. We can see exactly which categories need the most attention. The ones that are high, maybe we don't need to juggle those. That's okay. We can focus on that later. The goal is to have all of them 100% 10s. And then the goal that's not to have is to have all zeros. I expect nobody in this chat to have all zeros or all 10s. So if you're doing these and you connect the dots, you're able to see, okay, maybe I need to focus on, if I remember correctly, the career. So, okay, career, maybe my spirituality and my personal health. So as we're taking those and we're juggling them, I got my spirituality, I got my career, I got my health, and it's one at a time. I put my energy and my focus and attention into that category of life. And I'm able to take that energy and focus it on, what do I need to learn? What do I need to do? What habits do I need to instill? What relationships do I need to build? All of these different things, because emotions, they really, they flow very seamlessly. And emotions can be stimulated as well by external environments. And Jamal, that's okay if you can't juggle, but you could juggle your energy. And so our different emotions, as we're dealing with them and we're juggling them from one to another, when we become aware that the emotions don't live within us, they are living through us. And sometimes they're stimulated by external environments, everything from what you listen to, the music you listen to, the podcasts you listen to, the collaborations that you make with other people, the conversations that you have with people, the conversations you have with your friends, your family, your coworkers, all of these different stimulus, the podcasts you listen to, the movies that you watch, everything comes down to what stimulates your emotions. And that's just in the moment, in the day to day. Other things that can stimulate our emotions is things that live outside of the present. Our past can stimulate our emotions, our memories, and all of those things I mentioned that live within those, and the story that we tell ourselves about those memories. Same thing with the future. What lives in the future? How do I feel about this? And so as we're able to grasp that and understand what makes us feel good, keep those things in our life, keep those people in our life, keep those situations, those habits into our life. And the things that don't make us feel good, that make us feel kind of down, like we can't do it, like we have an anxiety about it, all of those negative emotions that we had mentioned earlier, those are the ones we want to start to gravitate out of. And it's not everything is 100% good. Everything is 100% bad. No, everything has a balance. We all have those emotions, all the good ones and the bad ones, they live through us. There's no such thing as a good person or a bad person. There's no such thing as a good or a bad work environment. There's no such thing as a good or a bad relationship. There's no such thing as a good or a bad, anything in that life wheel. Nothing is 100% good or bad. There's only 100% in alignment with what we are gravitating towards. So as we take those emotions and we're gravitating and understanding and get more clarity and more clear about what we want in this life in those different categories, and then slowly take one step forward, 2 steps back emotionally, 3 steps forward, 1 step back, and we do this cha-cha. We're just dancing our way into the life that we're trying to create. And we're working on it slowly and surely, 1 step at a time. And if you look at it, like, I like that dancing analogy I just made, it just came to my mind. But if you took dancing and everybody was just taking steps forward, they would be marching. But if they're taking steps forward and backwards and to the left and to the right, and then now it's just musical. It feels good, you know? So if we acknowledge that and we understand that everything that's working, it's not happening to us. Life is not happening to us. It's happening through us, and it's happening for us. So as we get more clear with our vision, we get more clear with how exactly we want our life to look in all of those different categories, we can slowly work and we can juggle everything in our life 1 step at a time. And then it's a beautiful dance, 1 step at a time. So one last thing I want to leave you guys off with is I call it the emotional guidance system. And I love analogies and acronyms and all that stuff. So if you break down system, is saves you some time, energy, money. Saves you some time, energy, and money. That's exactly what a system does. And if we utilize the emotional guidance system to work for us, it saves us time from trying to do the things that are constantly not working. It saves us time from spending all the money on the wrong thing that at the end of the day, we didn't even care about that. We didn't even want to do that. And then the energy is, if you use all of your energy and then you got to start from scratch each and every time, imagine that snowball that we were talking about earlier. Imagine if it stops at just like a rock and it doesn't figure out a way to get around that rock, and it keeps having to start back at the top and then back at the top, and you only get 3 steps at a time. So when we learn to take 1 step back, 1 step to the side, 1 step forward, we're able to dance through life and build the momentum and budget the energy accordingly throughout our lives to be able to get to where we want to be. Because with a budget, finances, we can either spend our money, we can spend our energy, we can invest our energy, we can save our energy, and we can collaborate with our energy. And it's just like a really beautiful dance when we're working one step at a time to be able to create the life that we want to build. So I'm going to leave that back to you, Elise.
Wow. You were spitting out fireballs at the end, and I was just like, I like wanted to say something at one point, but then I just stopped because I was like, okay, I just want to listen to this next part. So I kind of lost my train of thought on that. Oh, I remember what I was going to say, but everybody who thought that this was like so awesome so far, like, let's give it up for Spade, because I love talking about energy. I just think it, it's in everything, just like Bea was saying last night. And when you learn how to control that, and emotions are energy in motion. And one thing that you said was, emotions, they're not in us, they're through us. And that just made me realize, like, duh, energy in motion, which is why holding that energy inside of us is not good, because emotions don't belong to us. They're just signals, they're just directions. And when you try to hold on, you stop the natural flow of energy. Just like if you try to hold on to money, right? Because you're afraid to spend it, because you're afraid to invest, right? But when you penny pinch, you don't contribute to the flow, like, the energy. So it can't come back to you, right? When you hold on to emotions, you hold on to pain or sadness or anger, you don't allow the other emotions to come in, right? The other emotions on your energy scale that you showed, right? Joy and happiness and freedom, because you're holding on and thinking about and, building a treasure trove of sadness and anger and depression. So I just loved some of the things that you were saying at the end. And I know people in the chat were loving it. But I just wanted to, before we jump into VIP, because I just wanted to, before we jump into VIP, see if we can get some action items from you, because emotions are so broad. And it's funny, I didn't even actually know about the energy wheel before I created like the 4 pillars of mental health for men, which is spiritual, physical, mental, and relational. So I think that's so funny. That thing already existed. Nothing is original.
There's so many different ways to look at it too.
I know, it's so crazy. Either way, it's a measurement of your energy and where you're putting things into, right? And it gives you a system. And I loved
what's measured is
that
managed.
acronym. Dude, that acronym was fire. Okay, so anyway, men are usually told to not address their emotions, to hide them, to push them down, right? And you've obviously been working on this for a long time. What would you say is like a good starting point for men, that if they have this wheel, okay, but like, then what do? They're like, okay, like I feel like I'm at 0, right? Like some people in the chat, they feel like they're at 0. They're going through a really hard time, and it's hard for them to see their life as the cha-cha, because they're like, dude, I'm just taking steps back. I don't know when I'm moving forward. I don't know how to dance. So can you give them some direction? How do we do this cha-cha? How do we start?
Right. So I had mentioned the juggling of energy a couple of different times. And it's a lot like that when we look at the energy wheel. That just allows us to understand which categories in life need the most attention and focus. And maybe you got like 3 out of 0, and then you got a couple that are like 6s and 7s, right? And for you just trying to survive, sometimes we're in that survival mode. And when we feel in that survival mode, we really don't know where to go. We can't look too far into the future when we're just struggling to live day by day, moment to moment. And I've definitely resonated with that. You go a little bit deeper into the podcast, and the Thank You with the Pain podcast, about my struggles and stuff and working through them. But when we're able to see specifically in that wheel is a really good, I'm a visual learner, I'm a visual person. So when I'm visually able to see, this is what I need to focus on, this is what I need to focus on, this is what I need to focus on, you don't have to juggle all of those things that you need to focus on at once. Sometimes you only have enough energy to juggle one at a time, and that's okay. So when we see where we need to invest that energy into, say creativity, maybe my creativity is small, or better yet, I think physical health would be a good one. So physical health, for me personally, I really like to do it as a brainstorm. So I'll just take out a piece of paper and I'll write whatever that category is in the very middle of the paper. What can I do to get me from a 0 to a 1? just to a 1. I'm not trying to go whole 10, whole 100. I'm just trying to go 1 step. If I feel better about it, if I feel like I'm nowhere, I'm just trying to survive, I'm not getting anywhere, it's going to be at a 0. What would I have to do? What action steps would I have to do to take? What people would I have to meet? If I could take like a small course, if I could watch a YouTube channel, what would I need to research? What book could I read? What person could I talk to that I know they know about spiritual health or any of the other categories? Where can I take in this energy to get 1 step better? Just 1 step better. You can get that through YouTube. You can get that through reading books, through everything I talked about as far as externally, what stimulates our emotions. Those aren't just bad things. Those can be really good things as well. I get a lot of energy, spiritual energy and creative energy and career energy every time I talk to Elise. Every time. It fires me up and I go at least 2 or 3 points up, right? So that's a person that I'm talking to. Maybe I go online and I'm listening to Les Brown or Brian Tracy or somebody. I get some of those things from them too. So we can reach out into the world and grasp the energy. We invest our time, we invest our money, and we invest our energy into these different places. And when we invest, what comes after an investment? A return. It's an ROI, a return on investment with ourselves. So with that brainstorm that I had mentioned, what's the one category I could focus on today? Write the category in the middle of the paper. Say creativity. I can look up, maybe I've never painted in my life. Or Jamal, you said you've never juggled. Maybe that's something that interests you, but you don't know how to do it. I could learn how to juggle on YouTube. And so like, boom, that's one idea. We're just putting down ideas of how I could get to a 1. Who I could talk to, who I could read, who I could listen to on YouTube, what podcasts I could listen to. And you don't even have to know what the source is, but knowing that it's possible and knowing that it's out there, you can learn anything on Google, on YouTube. I learned how to pack a parachute on YouTube. I mean, come on, guys, you can learn anything. And so just looking up, putting down, brainstorming those sources where I can look into to find more. And once you get to that, maybe you can make that up to a 2 and then to a 3. But survival mode is not fun. So figure out where you're surviving, where you're feeling in that survival mode, and then figure out where you need to reach out to get to that next step.
Wow. I love that so much, Spade, because I think everyone at some point in their lives or another really has a low point. And once you get beyond that, you see it as kind of like a gift. But when you're in it, it's like the most horrible thing in the world, right? Because it's painful and it shows you a lot of things about yourself and things about other people that maybe you don't want to face. But somebody told me once that brushing your teeth is self-care. And that like really kept me going in that time frame. Like when I'd be crying and I'd be crying and I'd feel like totally down about myself. Like everything kind of sucked. Like for some reason, it was like, just brush your teeth. And it felt like I can do that. I can do that. And if I can do that, I can do the next thing and the next thing. Right. It's just kind of like that author who wrote make your bed in the morning, right? Because you need to give yourself the ability to win. And that's the power of what you were saying. Like, don't make your steps too large, because then you increase, not your chance of failure, but like you make it difficult for yourself for no reason. And then what that does is if you fail, you perpetuate the self-shame, right? And I think that's what a lot of men get into, is because society says you have to be successful, you have to be the breadwinner, you can't fail, like you must succeed. So men, I usually see, go one of 2 directions. They either set their sights too low so that they know they cannot fail, or they set their sights incredibly high so that they work themselves to death and experience burnout. And there's usually no in between, because there's a lot of all or nothing mentality, right? So I love what you're saying, that like when you're in survival mode or the burnt out mode, just do one thing for yourself. Give yourself a win, and the wins will compound like the snowball that you were talking about. It'll roll and roll and roll, and they'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. But it just starts with that one step. So I love that you pointed that out. Wow. So Guys, time went by fast. We are at the end of the session before we go to VIP. But for everybody who's here, we want to reward you. Thank you for coming here. So Spade has the giveaway. I'm gonna let him go first. Woo! He's here for the giveaways, guys, and it's amazing. So go ahead, Spade. Tell him what you're giving him.
All right, guys. So I want to put up on the screen really quick here is, so I got a giveaway. I got for Inspire Nation. We just put out a brand new design. And can everybody see the screen here? So everybody that adds right there on Instagram, specifically Inspire Nation Tees, you're going to be entered into the contest with for every person that enters in, you're entered into the contest. And I'm going to pick 2 people from that contest who have entered and followed Inspire Nation Tees on Instagram. And I'll put that in the chat as well. But I'm really excited about this because this brand is all about skateboarding, art, personal development, helping people to help themselves and to help other people, and to just really take those next steps and to grow into a bigger and better world. So I got them right here. And so I got a sweater I'm giving out to one person. And this is my new design. It represents energy budgeting right here. So you got, it's a heart shaped like a jellyfish, or shaped like a squid. And then you get a brain that's shaped like a jellyfish, right? And then, so this is just, it's the constant battle between the mind and the mind and the heart. It's a constant struggle. It's never going to be perfect, but it's a dance going back and forth. Now I got a t-shirt I'm throwing out to somebody as well. So I got those 2 things. All you got to do is add me on Instagram, Inspire Nation Tees. And then I'll throw that in the chat as well.
Someone asked, what if they don't have Instagram? Is there any other way that they can enter this contest?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Do you have a Facebook page?
I do have a Facebook page. You know, even better is go into inspirenationtees.com. You go scroll all the way to the bottom and you'll see a subscription. So email subscription. And if you add into either one of those, you can do both. That's totally fine too. If you go into either one of those, thank you, Elise.
Yeah, typed it in the chat, guys.
I will add you into the contest. And then for the winners, I'm going to reach out, see exactly what the size and the address, ship it out to you. Maybe put a little thank you card. Elise knows I love thank you cards.
No, I have one of his t-shirts, guys. They're so beautiful. The message is so beautiful. And he packs everything like in eco-friendly packaging. And you can tell just like no detail was missed. Like I was like obsessed. And actually, I talked to you, Spade, about this a long time ago, but doing a partnership with you so that any of my clients or anyone that I work with can get kind of like a discount for your clothing line, because I think it's just such a beautiful concept and something that can just, you know, people can wear with pride. So amazing. So guys, the link is in the chat for him to get a free shirt. And if anybody wants more, anybody want another giveaway? Because I have more stuff, but it seems like people are leaving. If anybody wants another giveaway, I got one. We're going. Dave's in. No, I didn't say you had to get out yet. I just said that we were at the end. I just said that we were at the end. I'm not kicking anybody out. Everybody stay. We've got some giveaways. Okay. I've got another one for anybody who wants to, who wants to dive into their self-development, their self-help. You know that courses, books, reading, everything like that, you know, it has a huge impact, right? But it takes time, it takes energy, it takes effort to get that knowledge, to get the snowball. The benefit of coaching and courses and things like that is that they can cut the time. Exactly like Spade said, it's a system. Saves you time, energy, and money, right? So this is one of 2 giveaways I'm doing. I did this giveaway on Wednesday. If anybody wants to and feels aligned with the men's group coaching, I'm hosting it at the end of February. I gave it away for only $500 on Wednesday, and it's going to go for $2,000, guys, because it's 10 weeks, 10 sessions. I bring in guest speakers. There's a Slack channel where we all connect. There's follow-up emails. I put my heart and soul in it. The sessions are like 2 hours long and they're recorded. I'm going to give you that offer again for $500 for 5 men who want to join. And this is, I'm not offering this anywhere else because it's pretty low for the time I'm spending putting into it, but I want to offer it for a low rate. So if anybody has the desire, they want to join, they want to come in, I'll put the chat in the box.
Nikki wants to join.
Okay, so give me a second because I got to copy the link. But I also have another giveaway. So just give me 1 second.
Sorry, Nico.
Because yeah, guys, I mean, we had 4 people join already on Wednesday, and actually I only offered it to 3 people, but someone like accidentally didn't put their PayPal through. So 4 people got in, and I want to offer it to 5 people today because I just felt it's such a beautiful group, and the men in there were just diamonds, and Jerry's in here right now. He was in the group. You know, we had someone rejoin because they loved it last time and they just happened to be in here on Wednesday. So they got the discount, and they paid less. 500 is less than I offered for the beta group. I sold it for $997. So anybody who wants to join that, the link is in there. But anybody who wants to take the long route, or, you know, just loves personal development, loves reading, wants something to really aid them, like that is timeless, I'm also doing a book giveaway, a whole stack of books specific for men's mental health. I've got a men's mental health journal. I've got the 5 love languages just for men. The book Relentless by Tim Grover. That's more of like a get into your masculine energy type of book. Really, really just different variations of feelings and moods. The Way of the Superior Man. No More Mr. Nice Guy. Yeah, phenomenal books to get in touch with your energy, your physical health, your mental health. So I'm just going to pick someone from the chat to give these books away to, because you guys have been here every single day, especially those who have been here all 7 days. I just appreciate you guys. If I might send to England, but it might not be a personalized package because I'm not going to lie, shipping across borders is extremely expensive. So I could send it to you. But it would probably just come from Amazon. If you're okay with that, then I will absolutely do it. Or if you don't like physically reading, I can give you a digital copy, and I'm happy to do that as well. Okay, guys. So those are the giveaways.
I can do that as well.
So those are the giveaways. Has been such a beautiful, amazing experience. If you also, you know, if you guys want to go the extra mile and share on your social medias and tag me, just because I created the summit, but tag me, tag the other creators. If I see you tag me, I will send you a gift no matter what, because that is so special to spread the word about men's mental health. And this summit that you guys, the creators, have been, you know, so courteous to give us this free time and dedication. So I just love you guys. I appreciate you. We're going to head into VIP now. For anybody who has questions for Spade and questions for the other creators, because some other creators are in here too. So we're going to do a little panel, and I'm super excited and I can't wait to see you guys there. So see you soon. Okay, guys, welcome back to VIP, where we are going to ask and answer questions for Spade and his energy balancing. This has been an insane session so far. So we're back and we're going to answer some questions. So earlier, Spade, so just while we're waiting for questions to be typed out, you had said something in the beginning about accidentally signing up for a Kung Fu school in China. Like, can you just quickly explain how that happens? Because what do you mean?
A big part of that was there was a language barrier between the headmaster at the Kung Fu school and myself. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with the traveling rings at the Santa Monica beach. I love the rings. They're great. It's like a calisthenic workout, meditation, community, everything, all that good stuff. I love it. It's great. And I would go there even if I couldn't do the ring. So this one time I had a shoulder sling on, and I just went to just talk to people, to delve into the community. Maybe I could watch somebody that's swinging onto the rings, and I could learn something by just watching them, by observing. just came for as an observer. And my friend Karen came up and she said, "Oh, Spade, what'd you do to your arm?" Because I had this sling on my arm. And I said, "Oh, it was just a skateboarding accident." She was like, "Oh, do you mind if I try something on you?" And I was like, "Sure, I'm pretty open to anything." And so she started breathing really deep, and she started working with her hands and going up and down from my shoulder to my elbow. And she did that for like an hour. She didn't even touch me. It was like a combination between Qigong and Reiki that she said. So after the hour, she said, "Hey, do you feel anything different?" I moved my shoulder around a little bit. And I was like, "Well, maybe a little bit. I don't know if it's just placebo." She goes, "Okay, come back to me next week and let me know." Within a week, I couldn't even pick up a water bottle. That's how bad my shoulder was out. But by the end of that week, I was able to pick up a water bottle again, and I was able to start writing. So I don't think it was 100% healing, but I think the healing guided me in the right direction. I could literally, when she's doing it, I could feel my blood flowing around to the different things. And that's what Qigong is about. Qigong is energy cultivation, and it's utilizing the breath and the movement together to move the qi, or to move the oxygen within the blood. And so I told her, I was like, "Karen, teach me everything you know about Qigong." And she's like, "No." I was like, what happened to ask and you shall receive? She says, "Well, everything I was doing, I can't teach you. You're going to have to learn Qigong on your own behalf. I can refer you to a master that I went to, and you can learn from there. Once you've learned the basics, the fundamentals, and the foundation, then you can come to me. I'm not going to teach you from scratch. You need to learn how to ride a bike with training wheels before you come to me and I show you how to jump and do tricks," right? And so I started researching. I was looking at the Qigong master that she went to, and he actually passed away while I was researching. So I was like, "Well, what? And it was about, it was $12,000 for a 6-month program to learn the Qigong. And the money wasn't an issue. I didn't have the money, but I knew if that was something that was important to me, I would have found a way. And so, just out of curiosity, I went on to Google and I Googled Qigong in China because that's where it was initially developed. And so I looked into it and I found a couple of different places. I ended up finding one place that taught Qigong. It was at Kung Fu, it was an academy in China. It was called the Kunyu Mountain Kung Fu Academy. And I was going back and forth talking to the headmaster. I told him I was only interested in Qigong. That's all I wanted to study. I just wanted to learn about energy cultivation. That's it. He said, "That's fine. We can accommodate. We can make it happen." And turns out I did most of the studying with myself and other students. But I went there and they said, "Okay, you're in the Shaolin group." I was like, "What?" Okay. And so turns out it was predominantly a Kung Fu school, and they weren't going to accommodate to be able to just teach me Qigong. So I brought my Qigong book over. Me and the other students would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and we do Qigong until the sun came up around 6. We would sit down and talk together. We would practice. And that's where I developed most of my Qigong, was in that school. We did learn at the school as well. Before the different classes, we would train 3 times a day, 5 days a week. And at the beginning, in the very mornings, we would do Qigong. And then on Wednesdays, we would do an hour session.
Okay, I just have to cut in here because, first of all, that's a crazy story. That's wild. That's amazing that you went to China and learned Qigong and Kung Fu. That's like a for the plot moment in your life.
Just to be fair, I didn't learn Qigong. I didn't learn Kung Fu, but I got really flexible because my energy wasn't invested in learning.
But you still learned. Like, there's not like you didn't learn, like maybe you didn't embrace it, but that doesn't mean you weren't there and present and like that was the reason. So that's really cool. But okay, we do have a question. So David asks, if our subconscious is created from trauma and is dominant, every time something feels good and the progress seems imminent, the GPS turns on and redirects you and sets us back. How do we acknowledge what our subconscious mind is doing so we can adjust? I love this question. I'll answer it too after you, if that's okay, David.
All right. Let me just reread this question again. So it's interesting, David, that you mentioned trauma and our subconscious. So basically, our past self, who we were in the past and what the different factors were in our childhood specifically, when our mind was soaking in all the information, all the patterns, all of the habits, everything in our life. That's how the traumas are formed, and they're very dominant, especially in our subconscious mind. So when we understand that we're not making progress, I believe that we can adjust that by simply bringing the awareness and the attention to that. So say if I have the three different categories of life that I'm focusing on, and maybe I'm making progress in these two, but this one, it's back and forth, one step back, one step forward, one step back, one step forward, and there's not going any progress. I think that's when we need to get rid of, maybe not get rid of, but like only focus on that one category. And more specifically, focus on what traumas are associated with that. For me personally, there's all kinds of different tools that we can use to recognize and acknowledge what those traumas are, how they formed, and how they're affecting us, how they're triggering us to react in a certain way. Because sometimes it's not as easy as you just pick a cherry off a tree. You got to find it, and then you have to analyze it a little bit. So for me, my favorite tool is journaling, because when we're journaling specifically with subconscious writing, is we're just writing whatever is on our head. So with my journal specifically, it's like a 3-month journal. And so within those 3 months, and you're able to see, okay, and it has like a mood tracker in the beginning and the end of the day. For each day of those 30 days, I'm able to see, I'm looking back, okay, what were the days when I was at a 0 or a 1? What was I thinking about? What are the days where I was a 2? What was I thinking about? Because our energy tends to gravitate towards the things that are affecting us currently in the moment, but maybe we don't recognize them. Maybe we're not bringing the awareness and the attention to it, but they're still happening. And so with the journaling, it accesses our subconscious mind, and it brings it to a visual form right in front of us. And that's just one way. Some people access their subconscious through painting, as you see Elise's paintings in the back there. And sometimes we do it through writing. Sometimes we do it through exercise or communication. It's figuring out what works best for you, or what the different things are that you might want to try to be able to explore that a little more. But when we begin to explore the traumas and we understand where they came from, how they came about, and access them, Elise has some great coaching to be able to understand those traumas a little bit more. That's her specialty, where she can get a little deeper on that. But exploring it, that specific topic, and really focusing on that one category and exploring it and understanding yourself and where you came from, what your triggers are, that's where we can begin to make those next steps. So maybe we take one step back and 2 steps forward, instead of one step back, one step forward, one step back, one step forward. But bringing awareness to it and exploring it, I believe, is the best way to be able to move out of feeling stuck or being stuck.
Absolutely, Spade. I love that. And it's just like the GPS turns on and redirects you, like I explained with Bea last night. Just like your habits are ingrained, and sometimes they're hard to like break, right? But just like Spade said, bringing awareness to, like, where am I struggling right now? Because sometimes we have it in our mind, but the second you write it down on paper, the power of journaling, the power of the wheel, it really brings attention to the thing, right? It takes it out of the subconscious and puts it into your conscious. Like, actually, I do need to work on this. This is reality. This is like where I'm at, right? If you're dealing with some deep-seated trauma, it's hard to see that yourself, because your brain is efficient. It works in a way that is like, it's subconscious, because it's, it doesn't want to take time to think about everything. Just like you're breathing and you don't think about it, you blink and you don't think about it. Like, things in your body just need to be able to do without you thinking about it, right? So that's why the subconscious, it's like hard to crack by yourself, because you've been doing things for so long in the same way, in the same pattern, that how do you recognize it, right? So having a therapist or a coach support you in these endeavors is also really important, because they can see things that you can't. They can help you with the directions of the GPS, right? Sometimes even the GPS throws us off, but if someone knows the terrain, someone knows the environment, they can give you the shortcuts. They can tell you where to turn, right? So like Spade said, the system saves you
Can I
time, energy, and money.
can I
Yeah,
hop in there
jump
real
in.
quick?
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah, so
Jamal
with
looks
that
like he wants to hop in
GPS,
too.
an excellent what's up, Jamal? An excellent extension of that is sometimes if you're the driver of the vehicle and you're also the navigator, you're looking at the GPS, you're looking at the road, and then you're having a conversation with your passenger. If you're in deep conversation, sometimes you miss that exit. I was sitting in a car with my mom a couple of months ago. We missed 3 exits in a row. If the GPS navigated us, they said, "Oh, get off of the next exit." We hopped right back into the conversation because it was a good one. And then we missed another exit. And we're like, "Oh, okay, we'll get off to the next exit." And then we missed another one. And then so she took the GPS, her phone, off of the little stand, and she gave it to me. She said, "You're the navigator." And so when we're able to section that out, a lot of times we feel responsible for ourselves to be able to be the driver in our life and also the navigator. Sometimes it's kind of hard when we have other stuff going on. But when we designate that and delegate that role to somebody else, we're able to be the driver in our life and focus 100% on driving where we're going. And then we give it to somebody else, like a therapist or a coach, and we're able to allow them to look at our life and access it and be able to navigate it by asking us different questions, by bringing different things to awareness. Oh, I didn't even see that. I didn't even see that exit. I should have. I'm definitely going to take the next one. Thank you. So sometimes that can be a big help. And I've had multiple coaches throughout my life. I've been going to therapy since I was about 14 or 15 years old. And sometimes we're able to, if we have that type of relationship, that can be with our friends, that can be with our spouses, that can be sometimes with coworkers or other people in your life. But being vulnerable and being able to access the humility from the things that we're trying to cover up. If we go to therapy or coaches or we're talking to friends, if we're covering it up and we're lying to them or we're lying to ourselves to make us look better, we're not going to get anywhere. We're going to keep missing those exits. But being able to invest a trust into the person we're talking to, coach, a therapist, a best friend, your partner, that's when the magic really starts to happen, when you allow the other person to bring the awareness to navigate your life.
Love that. Jamal, look, sounds like you got something to say and I want to hear it. I'm ready. We're ready.
Well, just if you're too kind, just listen to both of you and what David was saying about the vehicle. I think about like a large truck. And many of us have been around large tractor trucks when you go to Walmart at like 5 a.m. and they have like 6 mirrors. And it's like, what are all those mirrors for? And it's because they have so many blind spots. And we need a village, a small village, I'll say, but a village of people around us that see those blind spots that we do not see. And I'm so glad that I know there are women on the call, but I'm so glad this is a conference for men because this is something where men really need a breakthrough. You know, when you were talking, Spade, I was just like, there's so many times we don't want to trust and we don't want to open up because we've been burned. You know, most of my clients have a huge fear of rejection where it's like, why should I open up to anyone? I did that before. I tried that. Everything you're saying, I went there and I got labeled or I got shunned or I got put out there or I got my business put out online. I actually took that step of faith. And I like to call it the Christ model. You know, there wasn't a place, I mean, there, whether you believe or not, whether you believe in the universe, whatever your belief is, there is a man that was named Jesus Christ that walked this earth, whether he was a savior or not, whatever it may be to you. And thousands of people knew him wherever he went. But he only kept time with 12 people, 3 people outside of that. And with those 12, 3 of those disciples, so Peter, James, and John, maybe throw in Mary Magdalene, her sister Martha, and Lazarus, and maybe Nicodemus, just for good measure. So I call it the Christ model. It's like, I know everybody, but I don't break bread with everybody. There's a trusted group of men and women who can walk with you, who have invested in you, who will not put your business out there, and who actually want to listen to understand rather than just listen to respond and offer unsolicited advice. That's another key in this. And so I love what you were saying, Spade, what Elise was saying, and also what you talked about with journaling. I tell each of my clients, what you write, you have to reckon with. It's like once it's written, it's like, oh man, I have to face it now. This is a reality now. And then checking my mood and my vibration as I'm facing that thing, That causes me to sit with it and actually deal with it, and then take it to others to process, that'll see things that I don't. There are so many things, like obviously I go to the barber shop. I can't do this to the back of my hair because I can't see the back of my head. For those people who can give yourself a fade, God bless you. I'm not the one who can do that. We need men, especially men. We need other people, maybe your wife, to be those eyes and to not capitulate when the finger gets put on something that you may not like. That may be the very thing. They may be putting their finger on the very poison that's killing you. And a lot of times, because we've spent so many years in a quicksand of our own making, we get so used to the poison that death becomes life to us.
Yes. Wow.
And I would like to think that everyone coming to this conference who has spent 7 days with all of us is like, I'm ready to live. I'm not just here for giveaways. I'm not just here for discounted coaching, discounted counseling. I'm not just here to get notes from Elise, Spade, Jamal, Jerry, whoever. I'm here because I want to live. And I want to actually take the necessary steps to do the hard thing. Elise talked about it on Wednesday. She has a therapist. She has a counselor. Spade's been in therapy. I have a counselor. We're all in process. We're all in the process of becoming who we were intended to be. And even those things that may have retarded our development are the very mud, dirt, and manure that we need to grow to be the trees to bear the fruit that we were born to bear. So I'm so glad that folks are here. But if you're ready to live, it's going to take transparency and actually taking some risk. Just like when you invest your money in the stock market, say, I want to get this return, you got to take some risk. I'm complete.
Oh my
And just to
God.
touch on that really, really quick on that analogy, y'all know I love analogies. But when it comes to growth, if you take an acorn, in order for it to grow, you have to stick it into the dirt. It's all alone. There's no other acorns around. It's deep, it's dirty, it's down, it's dark down there. But when it takes the time and the effort, and it takes the little bit of water that it gets, it takes a little bit of nutrients from the soil that it gets, and it just takes it one day at a time, it moves from feeling down and dirty and in the dark by itself into a giant, majestic acorn tree, oak tree, that is not only up and huge and in the light, but it allows to provide shade and comfort for those living below it. But it had to take one step at a time to be able to be in that position, just one step at a time.
And it had to go through the darkness, right? So you got to go through shit if you want to if you want to grow. So that leads us into our next question, which is a very good question. Why do we have to deal with trauma? Can't we just move forward? What's done is done. And I want to let you guys answer this first before I get into. Why do we have to deal with trauma?
I guess I'll take that first. I don't necessarily think we have to deal with trauma each and every time over and over for the rest of our lives. But if it's blocking us, if it's stopping us from getting and building the life that we want to create, the life that we love to live, the life we don't need a vacation for, if it's preventing us from getting there, or if it's wreaking havoc on our life, it's saying that there's something over here. So going back to the analogy of plants, if you take, if you're cultivating fertilizer is like the ground base, the foundation for plants to grow. If you're cultivating a compost and a fertilizer, if you put something in there that's rotten, or it's maybe it doesn't cultivate well, it's going to wreak havoc. It's going to disease rid the rest of that soil, and you can't use any of that soil until you pinpoint exactly where that is, and you find it and you remove it, and then you work to cultivate a better soil. So same thing with our life. If I have a childhood trauma with an ex-stepmother from many years ago, if it's a trauma that's not, maybe it happened, maybe it was traumatic, but it's not affecting me, we're not worried about those traumas. Everybody has an infinite number of traumas, but the traumas that are affecting us, those are the ones that it really matters for. And so when we're able to see those things and we're able to recognize, even if we can't recognize it, if you watch Elise and I's podcast, I go over one of the traumas that I had been dealing with. It's not like you find it and you get it, you understand it, and then it's done. those traumas that are affecting us, they tend to come back again and again. But every time we hit it and we delve into it a little bit deeper, and we're able to understand it, and we're able to understand that we're not the person we were before when that happened. We're not where we were before. We are here. We're now. This is who we are. This is who we became. We're not still there. That's not still affecting us. It can still affect us in our memory if the trauma is still affecting us. But if it's not affecting us, maybe that's not the trauma you need to focus on. And it's not going to be there every day. Sometimes it'll be there. Sometimes it won't be there. And if we're recognizing that something is happening in our life, there's something blocking us, so we don't know where that trauma is, that's when we need to take the step, if we want to get rid of that block, to be able to talk to somebody, to be able to understand that so they can be our navigator to point that out. But we don't have to deal with every trauma all the time. And sometimes things traumatized us, but we dealt with it in that situation, in that moment, and we're able to move on from it from there. But if we don't, if we try to cover it up, if we try to, societal norms tell ourselves that I'm a man, I don't cry, so we hold it back, we repress it, that's probably something you're going to have to deal with later because you don't want to deal with it now. That's the trauma that we tend to have to go back to. So Jamal, if you want to take it from there.
Tough act to follow. When you started talking and when Elise passed this question to us, I always thought of just being in a doctor's office as a little boy. And when they do that little, and your knee just kicks up. And so whoever asked the question, like, why do we have to deal with trauma? You want to trigger a different response. Because obviously you're here, we're here, we've gone through what we've been through because the actions that we've had and the trauma we've been through has triggered a negative response, and it's triggered habits that have actually caused us to get stuck. It's caused us to not be effective. It's caused us to be in addictions and vegging in patterns that render us from actually facing and getting into our destiny. So you want to deal with trauma so that you trigger a redemptive response. Just like when you're in the gym, you're putting your muscles through trauma, so you trigger a brick house body. So we want to trigger that brick house body when certain things happen. When that person comes around and just ruffles your feathers, it's like, you know what, we're not having that type of energy today. I'm not really that bothered by you because I've dealt with that, and I've been dealing with that, and I've been processing that redemptively. And this is triggering this response. But when you don't deal with it, it's going to trigger that negative response and that safe place. The brain is going to try to keep you safe, but it's actually putting you in danger. And so this is why we deal with trauma. And there is trauma-informed care so that it triggers that response that actually leads you into that broad place so that you can affect change in the lives of other people.
Yeah, so good. I love everything that both of you guys are saying. And like you said, Jamal, I'm so glad that this is a group of men and they're hearing it from other men, because, as much as I love to be a men's coach, I know that I'm a woman, and it's different hearing things from a man's perspective, men who deal with emotions and men who have kind of like broken past these stigmas or who are still continuing to invest in themselves and break those societal stigmas is just so beautiful. And I love both of your perspectives. And Jamal, when you relate things to religion, like I'm not religious at all, and I don't really know the stories, but when you say the stories, like I love it and I'm invested and it makes sense, so I just love that you're you and you've embodied that and embraced that. And I know that I'm totally going off topic, but I just really wanted to emphasize that and my gratitude for both of you and for everybody being here. But just quickly jumping back to the trauma, because I am trauma informed. You don't have to deal with the trauma per se, but you do have to deal with the behaviors if you want your life to change, right? And the thing is, the trauma causes the behaviors, right? So if you want certain behaviors to change, there are some things you're going to have to touch on. But like Spade said, you don't have to go back and like wake up in Dear Diary. I'm going to think of the worst day of my life every morning. Like that's not where we want to place ourselves. And actually they discovered in trauma therapy that, your brain can't tell the difference between memories and an actual event. So when they used to do trauma therapy, they used to do exposure where they would make you think of the worst time in your life and just try to get you used to it and overcome it. And they found that was not a proper way to do it, because all you're doing is re-traumatizing yourself. So I know when you asked that, because the person who asked that, we've done one-on-one coaching. So I don't go back and address the traumas. We address the things that are going wrong now, kind of like Spade does in the energy wheel. Like, where do we need to focus on? And then we dive deeper. Okay, like what has caused this behavior, right? Because if we don't figure out what's caused this behavior, we're not targeting the toxic soil. And when we're not targeting the toxic soil, all we're trying to do is trim the leaves. When it doesn't matter how much you trim the leaves, the plant will still die, right? The behavior will never actually get better if you don't solve why the behavior was caused. So that is the point, and that is the purpose, right? You don't have to traumatize yourself every day, but look at the ones that are causing the behaviors that you want to change. And that's what you have to face if you want true change to persist. So that was a fantastic question.
And just really quick, touching on something that Brian had mentioned in the chat. It's talking about working through traumas and talking about these things with other men, with other friends, and recognizing that you realize, like, Brian, you felt like you weren't alone finally. So everybody out here that's in this chat right now, just remember, whatever you're going through, you are not alone. There is somebody out there somewhere. There is 6 or 7 billion people in the world. I haven't finished counting them yet, but there's so many people in the world. There's somebody who has been through something similar to what you've been through. And so if you, as you understand and recognize where the traumas are that are affecting you, and you reach out and you're able to find, you will find people that can relate, and you can work through those traumas together. But you don't have to be in this alone. That's also what this summit is for. It's just to bring men together to be able to talk about these things openly and accessibly, because yes, real men do cry. Yes, real men do show emotion. And when we're able to access, our brain is split up between the logical and the emotional. And when we can really create the beautiful, amazing, majestic, beautiful things in this life, we're utilizing both. And we can only put so much energy through the logical side. We can only put so much energy through the emotional side. And when all the emotions, when we're feeling emotionally drained, we plug in logic and we move from there. When we can't move it any more logic, and we can't figure out what the next logical step is, then we have to think emotionally. We have to think creatively to figure out what the next step is. But utilizing both of those, if we're only thinking logical, there's only so far we can go. If we're only thinking emotional, there's only so far we can go. When we utilize both parts of ourselves, we can go amazing places. And there's other people out there that are going through exactly what you're going through, and you can make it to that next step. Just constantly be open. If somebody's judging you for being open and honest and being real, that's not the person you need to be talking to about that subject. So people are put into our lives to be able to help us work through and go through different things. But maybe I talk to somebody differently about finances. Maybe I talk to somebody different about emotional things. Maybe I have to talk to somebody different because we go back and we had very similar upbringings. We had similar traumas. So figure out who you're talking to about what, and never apologize for being honest and being yourself and being vulnerable. That's 100% real, 100%. I wouldn't even say manly. That's just a human thing. Emotions are real and they're human, and you're doing a great job.
Dude, I just love that you said that, because it also draws back to what Jamal said is, I get along with everyone, but I don't break bread with everyone, right? So, you know, when you enter into the world of emotions and understanding yourself, know that you don't have to just tell everyone your story or your problems or what you're feeling. You keep that to certain people who you trust, who deserve to hear your story. Like, people have to earn the ability to be in that circle with you. So I love that you said that. And I tell all of my male clients that, you know, like you said, Spade, there are so many people out there who are struggling, but I would say actually it's very rare to find someone who actually really buys into the societal perfect male who doesn't cry. Like, you might be taught that, you might believe that, but really almost every man that you encounter desires to explore the vulnerability and the connection and the emotion and wants to have these relationships with other men. They just don't feel comfortable. They feel like you're going to judge them, right? Like, everybody in this chat Like you're here, you're open to it, like, you know, you're present. But maybe your father doesn't know that something like this exists. Maybe your brother doesn't, maybe your best friend doesn't. Maybe they're like thinking that you're going to turn around and judge them. So like remember that when you're interacting, if you take the first step to vulnerability, if you're the one to start the movement, like you have no idea how many people you thought were like this certain way and they just open up to you because they no longer feel alone.
And just really quick, I really loved how what you were saying about the traumas that we're accessing. And I had this thought come to my mind. When we're able to recognize and work on our traumas that are affecting us and we move forward, in order to move forward, we also have to recognize the patterns that stem from that action and that reaction. So we don't continue to repeat that pattern by creating new traumas. And one of my favorite analogies for emotions, if you don't deal with them, it's like if you take a monkey and you put him inside of a barrel, figuratively speaking, of course. But if you take a monkey and put him inside of a barrel, okay, cool. Maybe you put another one in there. All right, maybe he has a friend to play with. But if those monkeys represent our emotions and we keep putting them out in a barrel and we don't let them out to play, eventually they're going to take it upon themselves to get out and play and cause a ruckus. Our emotions want to come out and express through us. Our emotions are here to express. And Jamal was talking about Christianity earlier. And so like, I believe that God is expressing life through us. He's expressing how to play a saxophone, how to go on this amazing hike, how to have this amazing experience as family dinner with other people, how to learn these, like all these things. Life is experiencing through us, through our emotions. The emotions are a gift to us. If you never unwrap that gift, you'll never find out what's beautiful on the inside of that gift. So we have to be able to let out our emotions in a timely manner, not all at once into one person. They won't be very happy about it, but slowly bring them out and not create new patterns, not create new traumas. By accessing those traumas, understanding what the patterns are that keep repeating themselves, stopping the cycle, stopping the patterns. So when we deal with traumas, it's not one coming up after another, because if you don't deal with them, they're going to keep going on and they're going to keep building, and you're going to live the exact same nightmare over and over again. But accessing the roots and looking at the leaves, that's how you get a beautiful tree. You look at both sides of the spectrum. So I just want to throw that out there real quick.
I do want to just piggyback real quick, Spade. I think Elise wanted to go. But just really
No,
quick,
I just wanted to say quickly that you know, I'm gonna let you go. I just want to say quickly, guys, we're nearing the end because we're like going all night for this, and I would love to continue, but it is nearing the end of the night. So if anybody has any questions for anybody, I want to get them all in, or else I'm gonna let Jamal finish and we're gonna end the night. So go ahead, Jamal, and let's go.
Thanks, Elise. Just real quick, to piggyback on what Spade was saying, because I know we're on our time to go to sleep. Insanity is a definition of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And so when he talked about, you know, like that tangle web and getting to the root, our insanity in the brain will tell you stay insane, continue to protect yourself, continue to keep that wall up, continue to keep your armor on, don't open up, don't get help for this. It's a safe place, but you will stay in that same spot that you've been in, and you will not dig at the root. I did a post last week. I said, in this counseling and coaching, we're going to deal with the root so that the fruit can take care of itself. We're not going to clip any leaves. That's what influencers do, and they take your money and they waste your time. We are going to deal with the root. And you have people here, 7 different people that are willing to go there and deal with the root. But it's taking the risk and saying, you know what? I'm tired, sick and tired of being sick and tired of being insane. I actually want to access these emotions. I want to deal with the trauma, to trigger a different response, to live the life I was meant to live. So if that is you, I'm so glad you've been here with us and hung tight with us all week, but we want to work with you. But more importantly, we're just thankful you're here and we want to support you. And so thanks for having us. Thanks, Spade and Elise, for just an awesome night. You guys were phenomenal, and I'm complete.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you
you
for that.
guys so much. And I just love like what you said, you know, we do want to work with you. And the reason why I'm giving the discounts and the giveaways, guys, is because I know some people are financially struggling. I know some people, you know, they're stuck in that phase where they've never invested in themselves and they want to, you know, like they need that push, they need that incentive. But the true people who invest are the people who are ready. And you have to be ready to go through the hard stuff, right? I've had like, you know, someone joined me recently who stopped after 2 sessions because they didn't want to acknowledge the trauma. And they told me straight up, they said, I don't want to do this. I want a coach who basically gives me some things to attack and get done. And, you know, like kind of keep chasing. And I said, okay, you know, that's definitely not me because I'm trying to solve this for you. Right. But you know, that's just how it is sometimes. So you have to understand within yourself, like what you're ready to face and what you're not. And find someone you trust to go on that journey with you. And like Jamal said, there's 7 coaches all week, different modalities. If you join my men's group coaching program, I'm asking a lot of creators to come and be guests in there so that you can get different modalities, different healing things. You know, there's no one size fits all of healing for anyone. So find what works for you, test new things out, and keep pushing outside of that comfort zone, because your brain will always try to tell you, don't do this. It's stupid. What are you thinking? Don't invest, waste of money, blah, 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 blah. But once you actually do it, that's the first step. Like Spade said, that's the first step to knowing you're on the wheel of change. So thank you guys so much. This has been amazing. We're going to go ahead and end it here. And see you next time. See you next time we host something.
Thank you guys so much. Just keep working on yourselves, guys. Thank you for showing up and just work.